Welcome back, my favourite Germans, to the Battle of France and the might of the Blitzkrieg. So last time we were the French, and we somehow won, even though I really did not expect we would. But we are back as the Germans, so I can talk about German stuff again for a little while, before I nerd out even more about French stuff as soon as we get to some of the French regular equipment. Though I did briefly sort of scan at it last time. So this is a little adorable Panzer III. I won't comment on the anti-tank guns not being the French ones, because there's no point. Right, run them over. Right, infantry. What have I got? Ooh. Yes! 8 by 57mm machine guns, or 8mm Mauser. In Panzers they were MG34s, so tanks use MG34 machine guns all the way through the war actually. In fact, they manufactured MG34s throughout the war. Because, interestingly, they don't have high explosive. Interesting indeed. Right, get rid of that. Because MG34s were more compatible with vehicles. The vehicle mounts were better suited to MG34s from memory, so they kept them. Here's a 1914 Hotchkiss again. Nice that the French are still bringing them out. Right. Let us avoid running over our own side. Also, yeah, this is an early Panzer III, because the later Panzer IIIs, for example the Panzer III J, had 50mm guns. Because the Germans quickly realized that they needed to upgun as well, just like everyone else. Like, the British started off with 2-pounders, then they moved up to 6-pounders. And then the Firefly had 17-pounders. Same with the Germans. Remember, they started off with 37mm anti-tank guns. They went to 50 mils. Then they went to 75 mils. Oh, jeez. Right, machine guns, open up. Now remember, our advantage is speed. Speed and firepower. Another Hotchkiss. Oh, this church. That, just breaking my history narrative, is how I managed to win when I was playing this mission as the French the last time I played it. I held up in the church with a Châtellerault 2429 and I bloody just camped that front door and gunned down everything that came into me. I eventually think I got round to needing to use... I think I used the Dead Sergeant's Mass 38 for a little bit, and I also... can't remember, I think I picked up an MP40 near the end, but I pretty much just held this church. I'm amazed they didn't just blow it up. Right. You've got a Mass 36 Frenchman. We need to get rid of you. Right. Pull up the tactical map. Aha, we are in one of the objectives. This is good. I'm grateful there is not much French armor around. See, yeah, in the back of the church there, I camped down below that little bit of rubble with my 2429. Oh! I can see French infantry in the open. Tank! I see an enemy tank. Armor-piercing shell. Now the question of the day is, what type of enemy tank is it? Stuka! Oh, 222 armored car. Again, that has a 20mm automatic cannon for 20mm flat gun. It is adorable. As I said, I know a collector that actually has a real one. Well, it's been restored with modern bits, because apparently it was a pretty rusted out when he got the hull out of... Where did he get the hull out of? I think he got the hull out of the Netherlands. But yeah, as I said, I've ridden in his one. That's cool. Right. I almost feel bad gunning these Frenchmen out in the open, and then I remember that they're Frenchmen, and I no longer feel so bad. But yes, I was talking about, yeah, Panzer IIIs, because remember Panzer III started out with this 57mm gun, and then in the J they went to 50mm guns. Now the thing about the 50... Right, it looks like there is a tank there. Or a 40mm Bofors. Shite. Reload. Think I got it? Oh, black gun. Shit, I missed. Damn. Now, that was a 40mm Bofors. I do not believe the French had 40mm Bofors. But the point is, 40mm Bofors is 40mm gun. Now remember, the standard British anti-tank gun was 40mm. It was the 40mm, or the 2-pounder, which was 40mm. So that thing destroying that Panzer III is perfectly reasonable and feasible in terms of the actual... Got it! Nicely done with the well-placed gun there. So that destroying the Panzer III was actually perfectly feasible. Although, as I said, by the time of Panzer IVs, the 2-pounder anti-tank gun was pretty much useless. Although it is amusing because the Australian Sentinel tank, jeez, destroyed Panzer III and a 222 armoured car. That 40mm Bofors really did a lot of damage on our German armour. But yes, the Australian Sentinel tank, it's not in the game because it was never actually deployed to combat, but that's a good story I'd like to talk about sometime. In the meantime, we're going to talk more about early... Oh, that's right! In the 38T, the hull machine gunner and the turret machine gunner are separate roles. Artillery or aircraft? Aircraft. I'm pretty sure that's artillery though. Map, please. Alright. Push down to this position. Oh! French R-35. Shit. Armor-piercing shells. I had a armor-piercing high explosive in there. Fire! Nicely done. I must admit that armor-piercing high explosive actually did some decent damage. But you can look and see where the that armor-piercing round I put through the turret knocked it out. Oh shit! Another R-35. Jeez. Hit it at the base of the turret. Fire again. Got it. 2 tank kills. Not bad. Again, French R-35s. They only got 2-man crews. They got 37mm. Ooh, that artillery scared the shit out of me. They've only got 37mm main guns. Again, it's the 2-man turrets. They just... You need a gunner and a loader. Or you need a gunner and someone else to assist you. There's another 40mm flat gun in the tree line that's peppering towards us. Gonna use the buildings and the enemy destroyed tank as cover here. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and turn that. Aha, it's just this place we need to conquer. Ah, I see there are French infantry still in position here. Turn the gun around, please. He's got a Chateau 2429. And he has got himself a Mars 56. Right, reload. We'll stick to high explosives. Finally, the bloody infantry show up. We're going to ignore the fact that the infantryman somehow phased through the tank. We're going to assume Aryan magic on that one. But that wasn't actually towards the end of the Battle of France. It was quite interesting. The French did realize something. They had a new tactic, which if they'd utilized earlier, may have been more effective. What they'd do is, when German panzers came to a village or a bridge or somewhere, a fortified sort of, like a key position, the French would let the tanks advance ahead, and then they would hide in cover and buildings and stuff. Then when the German infantry showed up, they would break cover and attack the infantry, because tanks without support without infantry were vulnerable. So without the infantry, the tanks up ahead would need to either stop and reverse back to help the infantry out, or they would push on and risk being overexposed. And obviously, French infantry in prepared defensive positions were more effective against against German infantry out in the open than they were against panzers. So it was an interesting sort of tactic, which could have worked if they'd utilised it better. Ooh. These look like French 155mm guns. A staple from the First World War. We're going to blow that up. Armor-piercing high explosive. Because those Bofors could probably devastate my little shitty... It's not shitty, I love the 38T. They could devastate my 38T if they could get to it. But yeah, these look like French 155mm guns. Now the French had the standard gun was the 75, but then they went to the 120 and the 155. In fact, French artillery in World War I was superior to the British, and probably was superior to the Germans. The French definitely had more variety of bigger, heavier guns. I reckon the Germans probably just used their artillery at the start a bit better. But then at the end of the war, definitely the French caught up. The British caught up too. They had their 18-pounders. As I said, in the Second World War, the British went back to simplifying their artillery. So they had 25-pounder field guns, which I still argue was the best field gun of the Second World War. And then 105 fans can fight me over that. And then they had their 5.5-inch howitzers. So they basically simplified everything back. Whereas obviously, I think the Germans had their 75 mils, 105 mils. Pretty sure they had 120 and 155s. Now, where are we going? Aha, we are pushing up towards here. Oh, shit. Tankers are mobilized. Toolbox. Yeah, it's another Bofors 40mm in the bush. Again, I'm pretty convinced the French did not have Bofors 40mm at the start of the Second World War. Beautiful victory. But yeah, the Bofors was a Swedish anti-aircraft gun. I don't know what the French anti-aircraft gun of the period was. I'd need to look it up. Jesus Christ, we lost 45 tanks.